Dr. Moss, have you investigated any other types of psychic phenomena?
Oh, I'm called on frequently. Psychotherapists sometimes bring their patients in because they've got some problems. One of the strangest areas of all is when we are called, I would say we get 100 calls a year, to find out about haunted houses. People think their houses are haunted. And we did one extraordinary investigation with interesting results of a haunted house here in Los Angeles for the American Society for Psychical Research.
Not far from UCLA is still another haunted house, inhabited by Mr. and Mrs. Robert Rice, their 5 children, and a ghost. Mr. Rice, when were you first aware that your house was haunted?
It was the holiday season of Christmas in 1969.
Do you see or hear something?
Well, it was more of a feeling than either sound or sight. It was one of these things that there was an extremely strong presence in the house, and I got up, I'd say it was 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and began to look around the house. I searched all the rooms expecting to find a burglar, but there was no one in the house, but a very, very strong presence.
Soon after this, Mr. and Mrs. Rice called in a psychic to find out if their house was indeed haunted. They were told that the ghost was that of a young architect who had become very disturbed and hanged himself upstairs in the attic bedroom.
Well, I was working in my studio downstairs. I'm a painter, and this individual had become such a familiar part of our family after a number of years that I more or less tried to communicate with him on working in this painting. I saw a man about 5'7", very thin, dark complected, wearing a white shirt rolled up to the sleeves, open collared dress shirt, dark pants, and black shoes. There was an immediate effect of the painting taking shape. It was almost as if it were directed, although it didn't move my hand. It's not really a painting of him as he looks, it's more of a feeling of his personality.
The California Society for Psychical Research came to the Rice's house to investigate the case. Objects. Dr. Moss, could you tell us about your research here at UCLA?
We've conducted about almost every area of research in parapsychology that includes telepathy, thoughts going from mind to mind, moving objects at a distance. Primarily now, we're extremely interested in energy fields around the body. But probably the most fascinating work that we're doing right now has to do with a photographic technique that was first discovered in the Soviet Union called Kirlian photography, or more simply, electrical photography. And we've been able to get some pretty fascinating stuff on moving picture film using this technique, and I'd like to show it for you now, if I may. Okay, I'm going to turn on the film projector here, and we'll be taking a look at some of our work in motion pictures.
Due to the efforts of experimental researchers such as Dr. Moss, the technique of Kirlian photography may soon be of practical use in almost every area of physical science.
Inorganic objects photograph very differently from organic objects. Coins have a steady corona. We get the illusion that there is movement going around it, but the actual corona itself is static and its boundaries fixed, whereas human beings show a remarkably different effect. This is the right index finger pad, and we can see how brilliantly around his finger there are flares, and the corona keeps changing its pattern. We took a young lady and asked her if she'd get drunk. Here she is, 2 finger pads on her right hand, before she's had anything to drink at all. And it is rather a placid effect. After 4 glasses of champagne, we see that she's become considerably brighter, and the gaps have closed. And from the backs of her fingers are emitted sparks from time to time. After 8 glasses, she's in a much better state. From the rear projection of her finger pads, there are brilliant effects. Now we tried before and during kissing. This is the left and right, male and female, before kissing, and we can see that the coronas of both are rather dim, with a gap definitely existing between their fingers at the point where they are almost but not quite touching. These same subjects were photographed during a kiss. Their coronas have become considerably brighter, and in fact are reaching out toward each other, perhaps the woman reaching out a bit more to the man than the man is toward the woman. Here we find an extraordinary example which doesn't happen very often. Do you notice the red blob of light appearing between the two people? In anticipation, we like to think of the kiss to come. While kissing, the white and almost pink colors have become much more prominent, and it would seem the man on the left is perhaps enjoying the experience a little bit more than the person on the right.
Now, Dr. Moss has also observed through the Kirlian process the dynamic interchange of energy between a psychic healer and his patient. Apparently, after a healing treatment, there's a sizable increase in the width of the coronae surrounding the fingertips of the patient and a corresponding decrease in the healer's corona.